And welcome back to Beyond the Dragon. Now, this week we are talking about the 10th and final episode of season 1 of House of the Dragon, The Black Queen. And again, it was a pretty eventful episode. So Rhaenys travelled to Dragonstone to inform Daemon and Rhaenyra that Aegon is now sat on the Iron Throne, and they, of course, were pretty furious about that. And then shortly after, Otto, the Hand of the King, Alicent's father, also travelled there to offer them some pretty decent terms. He said, essentially, you can keep Dragonstone and Driftmark and various other benefits if you bend the knee to Aegon. Now, Daemon was furious. He was not happy about that at all, rejected it on the spot. But Rhaenyra said, hang on a minute, let's have a think about this. This could be the way to go.
Absolutely, and I think it was really admirable, Rhaenyra's composure in this moment. I think you really understood that actually this is someone who does value the lives of her citizens. You know, she says that she doesn't want to rule over dust and bone just for the sake of it, and she doesn't want to inflict all this unimaginable pain on the people of King's Landing and the wider Westeros. And I think you're also seeing the last remnants of her friendship with Alicent playing a role here. It's clear that she doesn't want to go to war with someone who used to be her best friend. And Otto is using that fact to do a little bit of emotional manipulation in their brief meeting, handing over a page from a childhood book that they used to read together, and seeing that it really does make an impact. But Rhaenyra's frustration to head into all-out war is very frustrating to her husband, Prince Daemon, and there's a very disturbing scene after their meeting with Otto where he actually strangles his wife and kind of demands that she go in all guns blazing in the way that he wants to do. I think this was a really important scene because over the last few weeks we've seen on social media lots of people really kind of fawning over Daemon in spite of the fact that he's done some really awful things and is very much proven to be a nasty piece of work. And I think this scene was important to actually hammer home this isn't a character that we should be idolizing. He's very much a villain in this story. I mean, would you agree with that, Abby?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was a really interesting moment in their relationship as well. I think up until that point, Rhaenyra had felt that they were on an equal footing and there was love there was respect, they were on the same side, they were a team. But that moment very much proved to her and us watching at home that he's really only thinking about himself and his route to power, and she is, you know, the easiest way for him to climb to the top. And I think, you know, you see fear on her face, but also confusion as well. Is this really happening? It was deeply shocking, deeply upsetting. I think in season 2, it's going to be interesting to see how their relationship develops from there. And the episode ended in a pretty shocking way when Lucerys was killed on Dragonback. His dragon was also slayed by Aemond, who was chasing him. It was a really aggressive, dramatic chase. Lucerys had been sent to the Baratheons to seek support for the upcoming war by his mother. He was ambushed by Aemond there in the hall, who essentially said, "Give me your eye." He wanted revenge for what Lucerys had done to him. That didn't happen. Lucerys left, hopped on his dragon, headed home, and that is when Aemond came out of nowhere. Now, I think, given the expression on Aemond's face, he didn't mean to kill him. That was not his intention. He wanted his eye, he wanted to terrorize him, but he certainly didn't want to kill him. But of course, that did happen. He's now dead, and going forward, that is going to prove, well, it's a big problem, isn't it?
I totally agree with you, Abby. This is a huge development, and a really sad one too. I mean, I felt so sorry for Lucerys in that moment, a really innocent character who did not deserve to go out on those terms. But I've also got to say, I think it was very irresponsible of Princess Rhaenyra to send him out on that mission. I mean, the idea of sending a 14-year-old boy to strong-arm an entire noble family into a very unstable, uncertain war is just crazy, and I have no idea why she thought that was a good idea. And Rhaenyra's reaction to the news of her son's death, I think, is actually one of the most powerful moments of the entire episode. I don't believe she actually says anything when she's informed, but you can really just see the pain, the anguish, and the utter fury on her face. And I think it's quite clear that this is going to be the thing that breaks the discipline that we have previously seen from her. I think she's now going to be going into season 2, and she's going to be baying for blood.
Yeah, it gives a whole new meaning to the Black Queen, right?
And now it's time for Head of the House, and we're going to be doing things a little bit differently this week. Over the course of the season, Abby and I have been naming our standout characters from each episode of House of the Dragon. And I thought it would be fun if we take this moment to reflect on who got the most support from us over the course of this first season. So Abby, who is your overall winner of House of the Dragon Season 1?
My overall winner is Daemon. I gave him 3 votes. Now, as we said earlier, he's not a remotely likeable character. He is a nasty piece of work. You wouldn't want to share a pint with him. He'd stab you in the back at any given opportunity. But he's a schemer. He makes things happen. And that is very, very Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. That's what the show is all about, those people weaving about behind the scenes. And it's just really interesting thinking about his long game, his, route plotting his way to power. And I can't wait to see what he does in season 2. David, what about you?
Well, Abby, my overall winner of House of the Dragon Season 1 is Viserys. I also gave him 3 of my votes over the course of the season. And I think it's really interesting because in the canon of Game of Thrones, Viserys is looked back on as a very kind of ineffectual ruler, someone who really did nothing of value over the course of his reign. But I think what this show did so well was show us the humanity of the character. And he went on such a journey from his horrible decision in the first episode to really being humbled and learning the value of his family and his loved ones. And by the time we see him towards the end in that awfully frail state, he was really just trying to keep his family together and keep everyone happy. And I felt it was a very moving arc. So Viserys, what a brilliant performance. And Paddy Considine, I hope awards season treats you well.
And thinking ahead to season 2, we're now in a really interesting position given everything that has happened in the first season of House of the Dragon, which got us thinking about what we're excited to see next from certain characters. David, who have you got your eye on?
Well, I think I'm really interested to see what happens next for Jacaerys. I think he's going to have a very visceral reaction to the news of his brother's death. I mean, we saw in an earlier scene in this episode that he was very much kind of the tougher of the two, the more aggressive at the very least. And also, let us not forget that Jacaerys has been sent on a mission to meet the Starks. And the Starks, obviously a really popular family from the original Game of Thrones TV show. And it's widely speculated that they're going to have a big role to play in season 2. So that's going to be really exciting too. Abby, what about you? Who are you excited for in season 2?
I'm interested to see how the relationship between Rhaenyra and Daemon develops following that horrible moment where he takes hold of her neck and essentially threatens her. I think moving forward, their relationship ultimately has now changed. Her perception of him has changed. I think she's seen him in a new light. And I'm very intrigued to see how they develop. I'm also interested by Aegon, who of course is now sitting on the Iron Throne. I'm interested to see what they do with him. Is he going to have more to play with? As far as we've seen so far, he's been a drunk and someone who's run away from responsibility. He now can't do that. Is he going to play a central role moving forward? What type of king will he be? We don't know, but we're going to find out.
And that brings to a close this season of Beyond the Dragon. Thank you to everyone watching at home who's gone on this journey with us. I think we've really enjoyed watching this show and we hope that you have too. If you want to experience House of the Dragon again, it is of course available to stream on Sky and Now. And for all of your essential entertainment news, make sure you head over to radiotimes.com.